You're listening to the Second Mass Report, Falling Skies podcast. Here with you once again, Frank Stella, along with
Rob Southgate.
And we are talking tonight about Season 4, Episode 9, Till Death Do Us Part. Rob,
Frank, that's like a love episode right there, isn't it?
There was quite a lot of, there was actually a lot of love interests, I think, going on in this episode.
There was. At least, we speculated what we thought it was last episode.
At least
kind of got things right.
Yeah, at least 3. One of them is a triangle. So we've got a lot going on here emotion-wise, and I thought this episode, all things considered, just kind of off the top of my head, I thought this was a way higher quality episode than the last couple of ones that we've seen. I really was sensing a lot of quality, good writing, good development, good pacing in this episode. What do you think?
Well, and, you know, it's funny because I went back and I listened to our last couple of episodes this week, and how you and I flip-flopped as to which one we preferred. It was interesting to listen to. Listening or watching this one, I kind of wondered where you were going to fall because I'm in complete agreement with you. I thought this was a really well done episode.
We agree.
Yeah, I think we generally do agree. I just think that it was the action versus development. I think that it just kind of hit us both differently.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas this was really solid.
Yeah.
This was a really good episode. I was really into it.
And it seemed like you were kind of just getting into what they were throwing at us. To me, I thought it could have been cleaner.
Yeah.
In the past couple episodes, but
And I get that.
I'm glad that we can come to an agreement on this episode. Hey, before we go any further,
I would describe this as tight writing.
I absolutely agree with you there.
Okay, now you can go into what you want to say.
I just want to say before we go any further, we do have, and I'm excited about this, a big announcement coming up that has to do.
I'm excited.
It has to do with Falling Skies. It has to do with this podcast. So if you're a fan of either of the two, hopefully both, you're going to want to stay tuned throughout the rest of this podcast, which hopefully you do anyway. But I'm excited. So we're going to have a big announcement, and
it'll be at the end of this podcast.
So let's hurry up and get through
this.
And
it's not that we've been fired and we're moving to another network. That's already happened.
Hey, every great broadcaster, Rob, every great broadcaster has a story.
Well, you know what? I had to start my own network so that I wouldn't get fired. And even then, Martha's my partner on this. At any time, she could drop the axe on me. So here's a teaser. Maybe that's the announcement.
And I'm at Kmart.
Welcome to Frank Stella Media Group.
Yep, just about. Anyway, oh boy. Okay, so hey, you know what? And another thing before we go further, I want to go back to last week's episode. We were having a lot of fun with the title, "A Thing with Feathers." It sounds.
I have no idea what that meant. I've been laughing about it all week.
It's so ambiguous. But a guy by the name of Phil sent us an email, which can be done.
Phil, thank you for sending an email. You rule. We never get emails.
Right. secondmassreport@gmail.com if you're interested. Phil gave us the big clue as to what this is about. Actually, it comes from an Emily Dickinson poem called Hope. So, Phil, this is going out to you.
Oh.
I'm gonna take the liberty and read all 3 stanzas of Emily Dickin's Hope. Here we go.
Wait. This is welcome to Frank Stella Theater.
Okay, Frank Stella Media Group, Frank Stella Theater.
Yes.
Get over me, Rob. Get over.
You know I'm going to put a little music bed on this. It's going to take me longer to edit this episode because we're going to have a little music bed for the readings of Frank Stella.
Okay, and as you're listening to the poetry and music, keep in mind all the talks we had about hope, especially coming from Tom in this week's episode. Here we go. Emily Dickin's Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me. Hope by Emily Dickens.
I'm tearing up. That was beautiful.
I think you're tearing something.
No, I'd like to hear Pope by Emily Dickens.
What is
Pope?
Wait,
is a thing with feathered hair.
What is the band that you mentioned? Burning Popes or something like that?
No. Okay. now I get to do a little bit of
Okay.
talking for a second,
Before we get into
so
the episode.
it'll make sense. So our network, Southgate Media Group, is going to have a presence at Chicago Wizard World this year. Two things are
Pay no
happening. One
attention to the
is
man behind the curtain.
yeah, one thing is we are actually doing a panel. Some of us here are doing a panel on Thursday night, August 21st. So if you happen to be at Chicago Wizard World and you want to see a podcast and journalism panel, we're going to have some fun.
That's more of an
Uh,
afternoon thing, right?
no, that's at night. That's
Okay.
Thursday night it starts at 7:30 in room 1. They just gave me the official on it.
Room 1 of where?
At Wizard World.
Okay.
Okay, that does not pertain to you. You're not going to Wizard World. You're going to in the afternoon on Thursday
that's why I was
from 1 to
confused.
3, and on Sunday night from 6 to 9, we are hosting 2 VIP parties at Adobe Hilas, which is this awesome Mexican restaurant kind of across the street from the Donald Lee Stevens Convention Center. So it's not really, these parties aren't part of Wizard World. They're before and after Wizard World. So it's not like an official thing, but it is official to us.
Like tailgate.
Yeah. We're going to have, it's going to be really cool. We're going to have cosplayers there. We have some various, somebody described it as alternative media celebrities, meaning podcasters, bloggers. There's going to be some comic artists and things just mingling around. It's not like, hey, they're sitting in a row and getting stuff signed. It's more like you're standing there talking to somebody and find out they write a comic you love. That's the kind of thing you're going to find at this. It's going to be super cool, very limited. We only have 100 tickets for Thursday, 200 for Sunday, and a lot of those are spoken for. So if you are interested in going, tweet to me at our Southgate. And if there are tickets available, we are doing a first come, first serve. So after you hear this, if you want to come, tweet to me. You can go to one or both of the events, but tickets are going quickly. And when they're cut off, boy, they're cut off. We can't cram any more people into this event. Now, the reason that you asked me about that, on Sunday night, we potentially have, I'm going to say 3.5 bands. I know that sounds weird, but we'll leave it at that. One of them,
I'm in a
the
half
one
band.
the one that is locked in 100% that we know this is how it's working is a band which is a My Little Pony tribute band called the Shakeups in Ponyville. And like I tell people and they're like, "Oh, a pony band." I'm telling you, this band is fantastic. You will love this band. If you go to YouTube, you can hear some of their music. We use one of their songs. It's called My Little Time Lord for our Doctor Who show. And it's the catchiest song. It's just great. It's just fantastic. So one of the people who is very likely playing, it just depends on how we schedule this, is a friend of mine who used to be in a band called the Smoking Popes, which if you like alternative music, the Smoking Popes were an excellent Chicago band. Excellent band. So he was in that band. He was in a couple other bands that the younger folks would know. And now he has his own band and he does some solo stuff. His name is Mike Bellumley. He also, I think his band now is called White City, and that's who would be playing that night is White City. We just haven't worked out all the arrangements yet and the timing, because putting 3 bands into 3 hours, actually 3.5 bands into 3 hours, is a very tricky exercise. So we may bump somebody, we may move them around, use them for a different event, but that's where we're sitting right now. And boy, I hope we get all of them because they're all so good. The other one is a Doctor Who tribute band that is really good.
That's insane.
It is.
Smoking
It's going to be
popes.
fun. And
I just see Pope smoking a something.
something. And we also, like I said, we have cosplayers. And when I say cosplayers, yes, general people have said, "Hey, can I wear my costume and come?" Yes, please. We love it.
Are they
But
hot?
we actually have a couple of cosplay groups, like official ones, that have sent out invitations to their members, and they're like, "Look, they're going to be at Comic-Con. Don't be surprised if a bunch of people dressed in Star Wars costumes show up. If a bunch of people, we know some of them are going to be in like fantasy Renaissance fair outfits.
Oh, good.
It's like, wow, okay. And we're hoping for some superheroes. And man, listeners to this, how awesome would it be if somebody from this showed up dressed as one of the Masons? I mean,
or a smoking
God,
pope.
Or a Cochise. Can you imagine? I would pass out if Cochise showed up.
Cochise costume.
Or even one higher than Cochise, a full skidder with all the legs.
An overlord.
An overlord. They'd be giant.
Or just a Jesse Schramm. If you can be Jesse Schramm.
If Jesse Schramm could just show up.
Jesse, if you're listening to this,
Surprise
I
us.
will show you around Chicago.
Oh, now that's an invitation.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did we get on this
I
topic?
will read
Okay.
some Emily Dickinson
I
poetry
will
to
read
you.
a thing of feathers to you.
Okay, can we start this
Okay,
podcast?
I
People
just want to
probably
say
already
one more thing.
tuned out, but how cool
Just a
is that?
personal invitation from me. If you're not in Chicagoland, get your bus ticket and sign up because I want to see you there. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a lot of
All
fun.
right, so now that we got that out of the way, let's dig into this episode.
Let's do it.
This,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
we touched on it. It was great. Probably one of my favorite episodes of the season so far. We saw a lot of things that were kind of, that we saw
Mine as well. I do want to say that. Mine as well. I really enjoyed it.
a lot of things that we were seeing in the first few episodes kind of came back. Especially, it kind of slipped my mind about Mira and the kids camp, the youth camp.
You know what? Doesn't that seem like it was a season ago? Like
Yeah,
so
that
long
sound
ago?
like it felt like that hadn't really been mentioned very much.
You know
You
that was
know,
only like 3 episodes ago.
it feels like a long time ago with
Yeah.
all the explosions since then.
All the stuff that's gone on. And Matt is just it's like he didn't have to unpack his experience. He's just right back in it. So it just seemed very natural. And then yeah, when she showed up this time, I'm like, oh, the Hitler Youth Camp. I remember.
Yeah. Um, so what did you make of that? Rob, you tend to kind of be suspicious of everything and see these things coming.
I was
At what
suspicious
point? At
the
what point?
minute she showed up.
At what point were you like, oh, she's gonna give them away?
I mean, it couldn't have been faster. As soon as I saw her, I went, "Oh, she's trouble." Because the last time we saw her, she said, "I'm staying," and it was like set up so you were supposed to feel like she is going to get out of here on her own, and it's going to be a character element. Like they're going to be distrustful of her, but she isn't like she's going to actually get out of this, or she's going to get like disfigured, like what we saw with Weaver's daughter. Like Jeannie. And I'm going, okay, any of those scenarios could play out. As soon as I started out, I never thought she's going to be a double agent. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh yeah, double agent. And you know what I loved on Twitter? If you're a Doctor Who fan, people were immediately tweeting out, "Are you mummy? Are you my mummy?" Which is from the empty child from Doctor Who. It was perfect because that's what they looked like with the gas mask and the little school uniform, and I was like, "Oh God, it's so hilarious."
Hmm.
So you're like, "Yeah, Doctor Who, shut up, geek." But I did. I thought it was great.
And I was never convinced that she, was going to pull a plot twist like that. At first, at first I didn't suspect it, but once Tom was getting suspicious and tying her up, I'm going, oh, that's actually,
Probably a good move on his
good
part.
point.
Now, you did you believe it when Matt was letting her loose? You had to be suspicious that it was going to go south right there, right?
Yeah, I was like, I was suspicious the entire time. I was going, I wonder. Oh, I hope not. But oh man,
No, I knew it, and the whole time, and like as soon as that scene started, and she's tied up, and he walks over, I'm like, oh heck no, he's going to let her out of there.
and it breaks my
I just knew.
it breaks my heart when you think back to back at the camp and she's screaming, "These are all lies!" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, what happened to that kid?"
She got taken in. That's what happened to that kid.
Do we think we're going to see more of her this season?
Oh no. Yeah, I shouldn't be so quick to say that, but I don't. I think that she's going to just get absorbed into whatever that whole world is. I think that the what happened to the Hitler Youth leader
Team leader.
was kind of the end of seeing those guys. Although I gotta say, what an image of seeing them all in their uniforms, like attacking. I'm like, this is pretty sweet. It's pretty crazy. I would love to see them come back out of the woods and start attacking people. But I don't know. My gut tells me we're kind of done with that. That played out the way it needed to.
So we've kind of had some closure on the youth camp for this season.
That's my gut reaction. I could be completely wrong.
How did you like Cochise going all emperor on those kids with the lightning?
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. Well, you already know I make no bones about what a huge Cochise fan I am, and tonight just it solidified it even further when he basically tasered that whole group. I was like, this was what I was here to see. Those episodes where we don't see Cochise, I love his insight. I love him as a character. I don't need action Cochise every time. So that's not what I'm looking for. But when you get a payoff like this, oh, I love it. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Now you had to be a big fan, and I saw your thing you put out there about how it was the Emperor. That picture was hilarious.
Yeah, check out our Twitter or Facebook if you missed that.
Yeah, it's still on the Facebook page. That's a good
I
one.
put a picture of the Emperor from Star Wars 6 with the lightning, and it was like that looked like Coach East to me tonight with the taser. Very cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Before we end that discussion, what do we think about the team leader laying on the ground there, just so convinced, even at the point of death, that he was on the right side?
Yeah, I also noticed, all the blood in his mouth. I tweeted out that it looked like the Joker. Why so serious?
Huh.
Um,
Why was
you
he
know
so
what?
serious?
He has been snookered, is all I can say. He's still buying the whole thing.
And what did he say there right before he died? I gave them my mother.
I don't know. It was the whole thing was very weird. Well, I think he gave up his own mother. That's what I think he did. Like he believes in him so much. Here, I trust you so much and believe in you so much. Take my mother and harness her and do whatever you got to do.
Now, I'm not a big history buff, but does that whole re-education thing with just a few months and those kids, like, is that actually that potent in a large scale on that many kids?
Well, it kind of had to be, I think. I don't know that much about it, but I do think that, presented the right way and given they probably had a few months to do it. I would say, yeah, they probably were very effective at doing that.
Because I feel that it's hard to buy that just in a
What, that it happens so fast or that happens at all?
well, at least I mean maybe with the whole Nazi thing that maybe I could buy that, but with aliens and killing your
Well, yeah,
parents.
but I don't know if we were really seeing all aspects of it either.
I
I
mean,
mean, I think if they had
maybe
gone
we
into a
weren't.
little bit more detail, maybe you'd buy it a little bit more. I kind of bought it just kind of at face value.
I mean, I bought it. I'm buying it at face value for the sake of the story. I just feel like with that many, if this actually happened, would that many kids go for that model of our alien brothers and we need
Well, yeah, but how
to?
many did go through it? How many, what we were seeing, okay, might have been the ones that made it through. So that might have been filtered down from 1,000 kids.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how effective overall the whole thing was
Well,
in
what
a
we
large
saw looked like
scale.
it was fairly effective. And especially since the one person we know that was there that was still fighting against it, she completely bought into it after a short amount of time. So, and we don't know if they were doing things like, using drugs and other things to manipulate the situation or mind control to manipulate the situation far enough to get them to then make a commitment mentally to say, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be.
Hmm. Well, interesting talk. Um, we need to talk about this beamer. One of the messes I think left over from last episode. Didn't the beamer like blow up?
No, no. I actually think this made sense. Didn't it just crash?
Okay, it crashed, but I'm talking about when Tom and Dagon were inside, and they Tom said like I think we just pulled a thing on the grenade and the thing blew up. I mean that was quite an explosion. I thought okay they're dead, and next thing you know they're just looking up out the top hatch
Yeah,
like oh hi we're down here we just had a blow explosion in our face we're good throw down a rope. I was like what? So to me that was a mess, and I'm going all of a sudden Shaq just completely. Oh, and that was a scene out of Star Wars Episode 5 when they pull the X-wing out of the swamp.
has somebody been watching Star Wars this week?
No, I've been watching Falling Skies Wars.
Okay, so the fact that it raised out of there, you got a Star Wars vibe off of that. I'm a big Star Wars guy, and I didn't get that vibe, but I see what you're saying.
Okay, but
Um,
my question is, wouldn't it be heavily damaged from that explosion? It looked fine to me. I don't
I would
understand
think it
something.
would. I would think it would. Although, are we talking about two different ships?
No, they only had one beamer. There was the beamer that crash landed when Kochi shot. Okay, so Kochi shot it. So
Right.
it's already
Already damaged,
it's
and then it
already
flies and it
it's
hits
already
the ground,
it's already
and then they
damaged
blow it
beyond
up.
it's already damaged enough to where it can't fly anymore. That's why it landed in the first place. Hits the ground. It's got to be really damaged now. Then it explodes. Next thing you know, it's coming out of the dirt fully functional.
Hmm.
I'm missing something, and that's what I'm talking about with a mess left over from last episode.
Right.
So
Right.
that to me, I'm going. Wait a minute. They're trying to erase the
There's
past.
something. You know what? It's one of these where I think I would have to go back and watch the whole sequence again and see if I can figure out what happened, or maybe they are just saying this is convenient. Let's have it get put back together, and it's fine.
I mean, unless Shaq did like a bunch of repairs on it. I mean, they were digging it out.
Yeah, but there was no way he did that much to it. The thing was perfect.
Yeah, it looked like a brand new Lexus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or a brand new Lexi.
oh,
Come on. You're Frank Stella. You had to like that one.
nice.
Yeah, I knew it.
I want a brand new Lourdes.
Yeah, the old one's damaged goods at this point.
Wow. Anyway, so there's that. That's just, I'm calling that out. I think that's a mess. But we need to talk about all the love and emotions going on in this episode. Let's hit
Oh yeah.
let's hit the triangle. I told you, Rob. I told you Ben and Maggie was going to happen.
Yeah, you did. And I actually didn't think because I thought she was kind of rejecting it. In that last episode, though, when she was harnessed, I was becoming more of a believer. This one, I thought they played it well because she was resistant. And it was like, I think the power of the harness just made her like, you want a little Ashfeni in you? You know? I think she couldn't handle it.
Mm. Yeah. And there was okay, did you notice what was going on when Maggie was attributing her attraction to Ben to the harness? And Ben
Yes.
said, "You mean you didn't feel this before?" And she said, "No." And that's when Ben went, "Okay, bye."
Right.
So Ben had been attracted to Maggie apparently for quite some time, and this is a new thing for Maggie. Now, girl,
That I totally agree with. That's why I said it before. I didn't think this was going to happen because I didn't think Maggie was feeling that. Even though they kind of played around with it, I never thought that she actually felt
and
it.
this is a thing where I'm not sure I understand girls. I'm not sure they're understandable.
Oh, come on. You're like Don Juan. You know
Okay,
everything
I am
about it.
Don Juan, but
But you're Don Juan, the guy that works at my Taco Bell
yeah,
over here.
exactly. That is
Or at
exactly
Kmart.
right. Yeah, I'm Don Juan at Kmart. I'll help you out. I'll help you pay your bill in Spanish.
Right.
Now listen. Listen.
Oh, that's killing me, Frank.
I'm betting you that Maggie, it's one of those things where I think Maggie probably was into him, but kind of didn't know it or kind of wasn't thinking about it. Like, she was getting to know him more. They were having little moments, they were bonding. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of poured forth, and she really went, "Whoa, I'm really into this."
No, I don't agree. I think that it was all one-sided. She viewed him as her boyfriend's little brother. He's a few years younger, and even though he doesn't look it now, he is.
You want to know?
And
Okay, do you want to know something funny though?
that she stayed with Hal through his crazy eye worm thing.
What?
I don't think that was in there. I think that it was the neck, the spikes that like made the emotions go crazy and it was attraction immediately from that.
Okay, but I think that there was a foundation. I think that they had their moments, and this was the culmination of an entire like castle that they'd been building together this entire season. If they had just met the day, if Ben Spikes were an anonymous donor and then she met, it wouldn't have worked. It's
Okay.
worked because they had the foundation of this entire season, not to mention whatever else they may have been through seasons prior. But this season, they really kind of came together and bonded. Hal was gone for a lot of it. Now, Rob, you want to know something funny?
I do want to know something funny. Lay it on me.
Hal is significantly in the story, and I think they try and sweep this under the rug a little bit. Hal is significantly younger than Maggie by a good 4 or 5 years. I think Maggie was like 24 when Hal was like
totally.
19.
He was like a kid when this started.
Right. And Hal met Maggie back in episode 2 of the first season. And I'm pretty sure Hal was like 18 or 19 then, and Maggie was like 24.
Okay.
And so now Ben is probably in this season, Ben's maybe 19 or 20. Maggie's got to be 27, 28.
Yeah, something like that. That makes sense.
So she's almost a good 8, 9 years older than Ben. It's starting to get a little weird.
Yeah.
Is Matt next?
Right. She's just working her way through the Masons, working her way down.
Then she'll have a thing with Lexi. Ooh.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's keep in mind Lexi's only like 1, so
okay.
yeah. So no Lexi's showing up tonight.
No Leslie's.
Right.
Okay. So we have this love triangle. Now, you have Hal who saw them kiss.
Yes.
And I know exactly what Hal was thinking when he saw that. He was thinking, I did this. This is my doing. I was the
Yes.
one who insisted that Ben give her
Yes.
those spikes And this all comes down to that decision. It was Hal's executive decision, and he is kicking himself for doing that for all the right reasons, meaning that he had the best intentions in mind. But he's going, I should have just let her stay crippled because then I would at least have a faithful girlfriend. That's what he's thinking. I have enough Rob, I have enough experience in this area to know exactly what he was thinking at that time.
Okay.
He was thinking, I set this up.
Now, are you in this scenario? Are you Hal or are you Maggie? I'm just asking.
I'm probably Matt.
Probably Matt.
I am definitely not Maggie because I am not lame and I do not have tattoos and I don't.
Oh, wait a minute.
I don't flip flop between guys.
Maggie, not lame. Once again, let's go back to Team Maggie,
He's kind of
me,
boring.
and Team Lourdes, the dead one who had eye worms. Come on now.
That was not her doing. See, the things that I have against Maggie are all her choice.
You think she was lame tonight when she was double barreling it, shooting all that stuff? She was awesome.
Yeah, because she was going, oh yeah, I'm supposed to like be with Hal, but I'm just jumping off buildings with Ben and then making out with him. That's the kind of girl I am.
I think I'm gonna pull that sound bite there, Frank.
You can pull whatever you want, Rob. You're the producer.
That's the kind of girl I am. So funny.
Now don't forget, Rob. I can edit audio too, so be careful.
Yes, I know.
You just be careful.
And that's gonna end up on Frank's Stella Media Group.
Yeah, it's gonna be Rob's personal input junkie. I'm gonna make you say.
Oh, nice one.
I'm gonna make you say anything.
Just that, yeah. I like that. I like it a lot. So, let's just wrap up the whole Maggie Ben thing, the love triangle.
Well,
I mean,
I think you're right.
I think Hal was.
One more thing.
Yeah.
How did you feel in your gut when Hal gave him that smash?
How did I feel?
I was like, you so asked for that, Ben. Major props to you, Hal. That was exactly how you should have handled that.
You know what? Yeah, I guess if we're going by that, absolutely. That was the right move. He deserved to get his head knocked in right there.
And I love the way he set that up with, those spikes make you heal fast, don't they? And Ben's just like, yeah. Good. Smash. I was like, yes, that was so perfect.
Actually, that was excellent. And then Ben says, like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I would never. And Hal's like, please.
Yeah,
like, no, come on.
But Ben gives him this little quip about, I didn't see your leash on her.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A little smart aleck there, Ben.
I wonder how this is going to play out. I really don't know because I don't think that Maggie was going near Ben before this. I think that they were friendly. I don't think there was anything beyond that. And I think Ben was misinterpreting it. Now that she's harnessed and she's kissing him and stuff, I would not be surprised if they don't kind of become the power couple, so to speak, and Hal's left out in the cold and it causes a real rift.
Yeah.
And it leads to the Mason that will die. And I hold to the fact that a Mason will die.
Before the end of the series.
It could be before the end of the series.
A Mason other than Lexi.
Yes. I think by the end of the series, a Mason dies. By the end of the year, I said it before that my candidate is Hal.
Now, I don't know what to make of Ben, because at first in this episode, I was really loving him. When he was sharing all that stuff with Maggie about how to, control these powers and just.
So you were falling in love, not Maggie.
I was falling in love with Ben. Yeah.
You're like, Lourdes is dead. I'm going to go for something a little different.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to try something new. Do a little.
It didn't work out so well.
Do a little experimenting. Yeah, this whole women thing is just not working out for me.
Right. What was I thinking, Ben?
Do I want tattoos or spikes?
Yep.
I'll go with spikes.
Yeah. Now you can have them both.
Oh no. Oh.
So yeah,
But I was just gonna say
I don't know how this is gonna play out.
I loved Ben when he was. That was one of the most compelling Ben moments we've seen, talking about remembering his mom and all that stuff. I mean, very, very compelling. But then I lost a ton of respect for him before the end of the episode. I mean, it's one thing to dream or fantasize about someone, but I mean, when you make this
when you're
actually going for it, no. And then you're gonna be all snotty and snobby about it with Hal, who has every right to be upset, dude, no. I can't respect you now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So that's all
I'm
I have to say about
completely
Ben.
with you on this one.
So how about a little bit about Matt and Mira?
Okay.
And I was kind of wondering how much of a actual legit love interest there was. I think there might have been some attraction. Remember back when she gave him that little kiss on the cheek or something? And I loved that part when Matt said, no, she kisses him on the cheek or something, or lips or whatever it was, and says, and then she goes, now come on, we're gonna be late. And Matt's like, awesome.
Right.
I love that moment. So, there had to have been a little bit of at least attraction interest there. Tom called it puppy love, and I loved Matt, who stood his ground and said, that is not puppy love.
Yeah,
I was
right.
like, good, Matt. Good for you. You let him know what it is and what it isn't. Very well done. So I was very proud of him for that.
Yeah.
And anything you want to add about the Matt Mira?
Not really.
tale?
I mean, I think that I think we covered it in the first part. I think that you've hit the points, the important points of that. It is puppy love, even though you said it's not. It is.
And puppy love. I mean, puppy love, puppy love. That's kind of like,
If you say it enough,
yeah, but I'm done saying it because I don't think basically that phrase makes it makes it sound kind of belittling. Like, oh, you just had a
well, yeah,
like
because it's not real
you
and
just
it's
had a
youthful and all
well,
that.
it's youthful, but
The
it almost
reality
sounds
is,
like it wasn't taken seriously. It was just a fling. I think Matt's point was, Dad, this is, I was legitimately attracted to her. I legitimately had a thing for her. I was serious about it. You don't need to make it sound like it was just ho hum.
right, and that's the
Matt
kind of
Matt
thing
had
that
a thing over the
adults
summer.
do that. They downplay it. So yeah, I know. I totally get that. The reality is, it was puppy love, but
Puppy chow.
calling it that is degrading,
And
and it doesn't feel like it to Matt.
I'm gonna let Matt have, at least as far as my opinion goes. I'm gonna just call it what it is, and just, or at least what it is to him, because he was the one who had the feelings, not me. So I'm not gonna, if he says it's not puppy love, I'm gonna say, okay, Matt, then I believe you. You had a legitimate interest in this person, and I'm not gonna belittle that. So
Okay.
I'm gonna just let him have that, because it's easy for someone on the outside, especially who's been, I don't know, married for how many years, or just even older in general, just kind of be like, oh, that's cute. But you know what? I feel like,
How dare you? Are you calling me old?
yeah, you old fart.
Yeah. Oh, you heard that?
I smelt it.
Yeah, I dealt it.
No, I just say, let the person who's actually experiencing the feelings let you know what it is and what it isn't.
Right.
And so I'm gonna just let Matt be the one to legitimize his own feelings.
Okay. All right.
And you're free to disagree. I just felt like
No,
backing him up. I just want to back him up.
I don't think it's an argument that's actually an argument, because your point is really valid. I just know that, in my opinion, what it ultimately is puppy love, because they are very young. It's kind of first love. It's generally categorized as puppy love. And yes, it hurts the same way and everything, but let's face it, this was, unlikely to be something that would continue unless there's, not that many people left, That's always
but is that what
a
makes
question
is
here.
that what makes it puppy love? Or is it, the
The
actual?
fact that it's young and, kind of first impression of it and everything, yes.
Okay. Well, you are entitled to your diagnosis,
That's right.
because
My
love is a deceit.
diagnosis.
Anyway, so Tom and Anne, they came a long way in this episode from being kind of cold and maybe a little bit bitter with each other early
They
on.
were definitely at odds for part of this.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about Anne real quick. I swear I thought she was shot in that scene.
You know what? My mom came into the room. Funny story. My mom came into the room and she was asking me who's who, and she was asking about the team leader, and she asks, "Is that a traitor?" And I said, "Yes." And his very next line was, "I'm not a traitor." I was like, "Oh." And just one more thing I gotta say. My mom has this kind of weird thing where she will say something, and this doesn't happen often, but it's happened more often with her than like with anyone I've ever known. Where she'll say something, and like the TV or radio will say something like
Say it right afterward.
almost in response to her.
Right.
That's happened on an occasion or two. But anyway, so she walks in and goes, is that the traitor?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a traitor." "I'm not a traitor." I was like, "Oh, okay." It's nice and freaky. Anyway, no, yeah, my mom was asking if Anne was shot. I don't think she did. I think team leader was shooting at Anne, and then Tom rolled out with his handgun, and before he got a shot that landed, Tom took him out. That's the
Yeah.
way it looked to me.
Yeah. Yeah. In the moment, I thought she was shot, but after rewinding on TiVo and watching it, I think you're right. I think that, yes, he shot. Yes, she kind of put her hands down. At one point, I thought that maybe she had a flak jacket on, but she didn't react to anything. If she had been shot, she would have reacted, other than putting her hands down. So I think that he did take care of the Hitler Youth before she was actually hit. Let's face it, they don't do enough weapons training at that Hitler Youth camp.
Yeah, they really needed to work on their rocket launcher training.
That's right, because he really wasn't very good at it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're using human weapons, so you're kind of wondering, do the Isfeni kind of come down and go like, "Oh, we're going to teach you advanced weaponry training"?
Right.
I don't know.
Probably not. It's
I think they
probably
had
not
they
in their
had
best.
enough to work on with just brainwashing them psychologically. I mean, how much like weapons training did they go through? Probably not even that much. It was more just like, well, we think this is how it works. Pull the trigger and aim and hope for the best.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, interesting.
So
Um,
yeah, I wanted to address that, but okay. So back to Tom and Anne in general.
and Anne has been through a lot this season, and they mentioned it. They talked about the whole campaign to find Lexi, and just how Anne had really kind of turned into a hardened warlord.
Right.
And now she's kind of back with Tom, and things didn't pan out the way she'd hoped with Lexi. So she's going through a lot, and Tom's talking about flying to the moon, and Anne's just like, you know what? I I give up. It's been months. I've been trying to like get this family back together, and you want to go to the moon. Like,
Right.
I
I loved how she just that scene when she was like just doing stuff. And he's like, "Are you sure this isn't about Lexi or whatever?" And she's just like, "I mean, come on, what have I been through?" And now we've got this moon thing. It was killing me.
Which is funny because Anne is played by Moon Bloodgood. So
Yeah,
I was snickering a little bit thinking about puns and trips to the moon and
you
all.
were thinking about puns.
It's a shocker. I never think about puns.
Uh,
I just say them. I just say them
right.
without thinking.
You know what? That wasn't a pun. That's no joke.
Wow,
Yeah, you like that?
that was layered.
It was. See,
Like
that was a well played
layered that on
joke.
thick.
Oh, there it is.
That wasn't even a. I don't even know what that was.
I don't even know what that was.
Anyway, um, and it was cool the way they came together. I mean, there was tension, there was some bitterness, there was some resent, there was raised voices, but they got through it, and it turned into a proposal. And I loved how Tom proposed to her, and she's like, "Yes. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are we doing the right thing?" And Tom's like, "Yeah, we are. Okay, then yes." I was like,
All right. Now, you know what's funny? We were watching it, and Martha, my wife, said, I thought they were already married.
no.
They were never married.
No, they were never married. They were
They had a
smooching
kid together.
and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
I think that it's the kind of thing like this is after the post-invasion world. I think it's a little bit unlikely that there will be the marriage ceremony and all that stuff. It seems like that just kind of becomes a secondary thought, all the ceremonial type thing.
And if you'll notice, there's a lot of ceremonial things that Falling Skies will do just to kind of just show you that these guys are still humans, and that
Right.
the ceremonial things are kind of they put those kind of in the last. They tend to put those in the last segments of episodes when they happen. It's just kind of a reminder of like what we're fighting for. Like
Right.
these are the moments that are important. This is what humanity is all about. This is the human condition, and this is why it's important to preserve these things. And in the face of adversity, to have weddings, to have prayers, to have dedications, and things like that.
Yes.
So I love when they do that. I don't want
I do too.
I don't want that in every episode, but maybe just 2 or 3, 4 times a season. I think that really kind of hits home.
It's very effective, and I think it has to do with reminding them of their humanity and how their lives were, all that kind of stuff. And once again, if it was all the time, I think that it would lose its impact. But I thought it was very effective tonight, and I think it's been effective every time I can think of they've done it. It's been effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you like when Shaq comes in? Tom Mason, we need to discuss this beamer.
Oh, that was great! Right at that moment, and then Weaver's like, "Hey, look,
we're having a wedding over here. You may finish your ceremonial ritual at the later or whatever." It's like,
yeah, right. You can finish it as soon as I'm done talking.
Dude, and honestly, if I'm Weaver, I'll be like, no, you can wait 5 minutes. We're gonna finish this. The beamer will still be there.
I'd be afraid of his Shaq Fu though.
So
you know what? Maybe I'd
be afraid of his love shack.
Oh wow! This episode should have been called Love Shack.
That's what it should have been. Love Shack.
Oh, now we know. They need to rename it on the DVDs.
I'm not gonna call him Radio Shack anymore. I'm gonna call him Love Shack.
Love Shack.
Which is funny because he's completely emotionless.
That's perfect. You know, that's something I want to highlight. The actors playing Cochise and Shaq are amazing.
Yeah,
I find both of them to be fully realized, definitely different characters. When you see them, they look so similar, yet I never once mistake one for the other.
Mm-hmm.
And
their voices too. They have different vocal patterns.
Yes, and they're so true to their characters. When Shaq showed up at that wedding, I was like, not for 1 second did I think it was Cochise. I knew it was Shaq. And all the other stuff, I'm like, that's obviously Cochise. This is what he does and who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I really have to credit, the actors, the writers. They really have done a beautiful job.
And the costume designers. The costume designers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, to have that subtlety between them.
Right.
Fantastic.
Now, speaking of Cochise, how about that? We saw a lot of emotion from Cochise in this episode. Not the least of which was when, and I'm still a little bit confused because there's a lot of talk about what's going on the moon without really seeing anything. And I'm like, okay, wait, what's happening?
Now, wait a minute. Does that go to what we said when we start looking ahead at what the upcoming episodes are? Remember, we were saying, do they go into space? What's happening here? I think those last couple episodes, they're going to be on the moon. Did I lose you on that one, Frank?
Found me on that one. I was actually Facebook posting about that very topic. But
okay, because the last two episodes, next week is called Drawing Straws, and then the last episode is episode 11 and 12 are going to air as like a 2-hour final week. Space Oddity and Shoot the Moon.
Shoot the Moon. They tell you to shoot.
Are they going to get there, or is it just them trying to get to the moon?
They say shoot for the stars, but in this case, we just want to shoot the moon.
But not
the
Frank,
moon. Not the
when
moon.
We're at our VIP party, I'll make sure somebody shoots you the moon, okay?
Thank you. That would be so thoughtful.
That's right.
I just want to say, though, how crazy was it to hear Cochise swearing in Volm?
It was great.
And Hal's like, hey, Chief, don't beat yourself up. I love the way Hal handles the Volm. The way Hal, speaks to them, it's like, oh, sup, Shaq? He's all he's just, I don't know. His attitude towards the Volm is just, really pleasant or something.
Yeah, well, he gets along with them. He's
But I feel like if I were a Volm, I would think Hal was being a major tool. Because I'd be like, why is he treating us with utter disrespect? And just that's what I'd feel like if I were a Volm. But I see what Hal's doing, and I love it as a spectator.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? This is one of the things I truly love about the show, and when it ends next year, it is something that I will think back on and miss. It's kind of like on X-Files. I always enjoyed the lone gunmen, and I loved the episodes that featured them. I love the episodes with Cochise.
Oh yeah,
and I find him to be a great, interesting, fully realized character, and the people around him, the way they interact. Hal, even just like Tom and his relationship with Cochise is just great, and his relationship with Shaq is really great.
Yeah.
When Shaq was laying out what was going on with the moon tonight, I mean, Tom seemed very genuine, this is great.
That was a weird moment. I felt like they were almost, I don't want to say out of character, but they were acting weird. I was like, I think both Tom especially, and I think a couple of the others, I was like,
you think in that particular scene they were acting oddly?
I was like, why are you acting like this? Why are you, it feels like you're acting goofy about this. Like I'm
It
intrigued.
was kind of
I'm going
goofy.
like, ooh, that's interesting. Like tell me more. And I just felt like it was like I don't know, something felt like off about it. I don't know. Not in a way of where like the actors weren't doing a good job, but just in the way of like the characters. I was like, I'm not used to you reacting like this. What this feels weird.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't. I do think that they acted kind of strangely, but I didn't have a negative reaction to it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I did either. I felt like, ooh, this is weird. Like what why are you acting like this? I don't know. It
Yeah.
was weird. But I'm like I was kind of saying, I'm still not quite sure what exactly is on the moon. Is it it's no moon, it's a space station. Oh, we got all three episodes of Star Wars worked into this.
There it is. That's no
Yes.
moon. It's a space
But
station.
like, is that what it is? I mean, is there some kind of base on the moon? Is there some
That's
kind of
what it is. They've got a base on the moon, and that's where they're generating from, and that's how they're able to reach the entire planet. I made a couple of jokes on Twitter that they're going to blow up the moon or whatever. They're not going to blow up the moon. That would be ridiculous because that would basically destroy the world at the same time. We need it for so many things.
right?
Gravitational pull, the tides, all that stuff would go away without the moon. So we need the moon. And that's why I'm like, okay, they're definitely not blowing it up. There's got to be a base on there.
They're gonna shoot
Uh,
the moon though.
they are going to shoot the moon, but it might actually just be like a giant generator type thing that they get up there and find, and they have to disable.
And it has something to do with um, moonlight panels, like there's energy coming off the moonlight, or was
No,
Cochise or Shaq said no, it's not that, it's something else.
yeah, it's something else. It's either yeah, who knows? It's either that whatever they have set up on there is reflecting back to this stuff and it's causing it like it's intensifying the moonlight. Or and I wonder if that's it. I wonder if we went back and we watched the series, if we would notice anything different about the moon that is subtle. But now that we know, we'd go like,
Yeah,
oh,
yep,
that's what's
yep,
going
yep.
on.
There is. Going back to early episodes this season. There, Tom, I remember him looking out at the moon. And actually, if you'll go back to earlier, as in the promos for this season, there was a clip of Tom saying something about like I forget what he said. He said something about like when in doubt. That's not what he said, but he said something.
Shoot the moon.
No, he said let the moon be your guide.
Oh, they're playing with us again.
So yeah, there was. I knew I felt like the moon is gonna like play into this season at least thematically. I didn't know it was gonna be this specific. And then we noticed in I think episode 1, Tom was looking out at the moon from his solitary confinement room back in that ghetto camp. That feels so long ago.
Oh my gosh, it seems like a season ago. Once again,
A lot of this season's been moving really fast and changing locations.
that whole thing of him being the ghost, I thought that was going to be something we were going to be playing with for most of this season.
Yeah.
And that was like 2 episodes and moved on. It's come back up.
Yeah.
They've said it.
Very cool idea though. I mean, you could do a whole like a whole season or a whole movie just based on like a vigilante in an alien ghetto camp. I mean, that'd be very cool. So I like the idea of it. I think they could have done more with it, but I'm not upset that they didn't do more with it. I just feel like, hey, that was really cool, and we're on to other things now. But another thing that we saw was Lexi. She put her hand out to the moonlight and like deflected the light rays. Did you remember that part?
Yes.
So I don't know if, and that's another
So
thing.
is that something?
Yeah, that's the thing where I'm going. Does that have to do with the like light panels that we saw? Was that like the same effect that we were seeing, or was that just the show randomly showing us a cool, neat trick to just display to us that Lexi has powers? I don't know, but there's a couple of things.
You know what? I think that once again, I think that as we go forward, that scene probably will have a little bit more meaning. We'll see that she can do something that we're unaware of at that point, or at this point, even.
Yeah. So thinking through these next few episodes, one thing that there was like one quick mention of, which was kind of a huge deal, and haven't mentioned it since, is this, as Cochise put, was it Cochise or was it the alien overlord that talked about a new common enemy between humans and Ashveni?
Right, I remember that.
Not much else has been talked about that. You know what? It wasn't Cochise. It was the Overlord who said that to Tom. And I don't think Cochise has mentioned that. Now, Cochise has been talking about a new power source, and I don't know if that's what's on the moon or if that's something unrelated. But
Right.
we're talking about a new power source by the s4e9. The s4e9 are talking about a new common enemy. We've got very little detail on either one of those topics. I mean, we're already, what was this, episode 9? So I'm just like, when are we going to hear more about these things? It's got to be coming up pretty soon. Meanwhile,
Right. I
what's
we got 3 more episodes basically for it to happen.
right, and what part does Lexi have still to play in this season? There's and the skitterizing. Where are we gonna? When are we gonna
Yeah,
see
is that going
more?
to just be a one-time thing with Jeannie and then it's over? I don't
Well,
think so.
no. I mean, just a week ago or so, they had Lexi brought Ben to the skitterizing facility. I mean, we saw that huge warehouse full of whatever they were doing, and there's probably others like that around the world. And so that's still, I feel like there's a lot of big themes that still have yet to play out in this season. We got 3 more episodes, like you mentioned. There's 1 more episode next week, and then a week after that, it's a 2 episode
Right, season
finale.
finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get your popcorn ready for that. That's going to be a great night of watching and podcasting. So very much looking forward to that. Rob, should we get to our big announcement?
I think we should. I
I'm
think
gonna
now is the
I'm
time.
gonna let you take the reins on this baby.
Well, this is something that is a first for our show, and it will certainly not be the last. We've got plenty of time to make more of this happen, but this Thursday, we should be putting up our very first ever interview
Mm, this is
on
exciting.
this podcast. And you would think that we would get somebody lame like, oh, I don't know, Lourdes or,
Oh,
oh, no, I don't
somebody
mean
dead.
that.
Somebody,
I don't mean that.
somebody
We would
dead.
love to interview her.
They show
But we
gameplay. Are you
actually
kidding?
got, in my opinion, this is the person that I am most excited to talk to, probably above anybody else. And there's a lot of people I'd love to talk to on this show, but we got lucky enough. We're interviewing Doug Jones, who plays
Yes.
Cochise,
Yes.
and the Cochise love. If you listen to our podcast from last year, which is not on this network, you will hear Cochise love the whole time. This year, Cochise love the whole time, and guess what? It paid off. He reached out and said he'd love to be a guest. Oh my gosh. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be a very cool discussion. We've booked him for a half hour. So what we're going to do is upload the interview as a separate podcast file. So it's not going to be part of an episode. This is
Right.
hopefully going to be happening within the next week. And we had an hour or a half hour with Doug Jones, and this is going to be a really cool conversation. So we're really hoping that you're going to join us for that this upcoming week.
Yeah, and like you said, it is going to be its own episode. So there'll be a single episode, even if, we have him for a half hour, which is so fantastic. If it turns out that, who knows, he might get chatty before we start recording. If it turns out it's a 15-minute episode, I don't care. It's a 15-minute episode. But it's going to be a standalone that's going to be just featuring Doug. I couldn't be more excited. If you go to IMDb and you look up this guy's career, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. He has played some of my favorite characters and things. So this is going to be a real highlight, man.
Yeah, it should be a good talk. Hey, here's an idea. If you have any questions or comments that you would like to send to Doug Jones for this interview, go ahead and get them to us via email, Facebook, or Twitter. We mentioned our email already, secondmassreport@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Give us a like there at Second Mass Report, the Falling Skies podcast, or on Twitter at what is it? Not Shield. What am I talking about?
Shield.
Enough said.
Wrong show.
Enough said by
No,
me.
Second Mass.
Second Mass Pod on Twitter. So send us some comments, questions for Doug there, and we would love to relay some of those to him for the interview. And so we're super pumped about this, and we hope that you will be listening and sharing it with your friends and whoever's into the show or just into Doug Jones in general. So very excited.
Yeah. Oh, so excited. You can find past episodes of this and all of our other podcasts, which there are 40 of them out there, at our website, which is www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can also find all these shows on Stitcher, which if you don't have that app, get it. It's really great. If you're a podcast fan, which I'm assuming you are, you'll love that app. It's also on iTunes. Please rate us, review us. It really helps us. It helps other people find the show. We're also on TuneIn Radio, which if you haven't used that, that is a really cool thing too. It really makes it look like we are a radio station, not just, two guys sitting at mics talking over Skype from their homes. So it's just a really fantastic app and
this
program to
works
use.
better than a radio station for you because you get to listen to this podcast and the others on your.
I thought you meant for me because I don't have to wear pants when we do this.
Well, I've been assuming you haven't been. I mean, I haven't been.
Oh, good.
But you get to listen to this on your time, and you get to download it, take it with you. You get to rewind it, pause it, fast forward it, whatever you want to do. And we are completely interactive as well through social media. You don't have commercials, you don't have static.
Yeah.
The only difference is we're not getting paid.
That's something that really. Now you've got me upset.
Oh.
But no, it is true. I am such a big podcast fan. I find that I listen to various podcasts throughout my week. Sometime I actually might mention some of the other ones. Maybe I'll do that next week. I'll mention some of the other ones that I really enjoy. And you can do that too, Frank. We'll just kind of give a quick rundown for people because there's so many podcast fans that listen here. They may not be aware of some of these other shows. So we'll just kind of throw a couple out there to let people know, like, these are cool shows that we listen to. But I find that, like, I'll do the dishes. I'll stand there. I'll have my headphones on. I'll listen for, 20 minutes. Well, that's not the whole show. Paused. Come back later. I can either listen to that, listen to something else, always come back. I end up getting all of my shows in within the week, and I've got a ton of them. But having that freedom to do it when you want and listen in whatever order and all that is just great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and
kudos to you, podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a shout out to anyone who is interested in doing some podcasting, it's not very hard to get involved.
No, contact me. That's how. We're actually at the Comic-Con. We're doing a panel called Podcasting and Journalism, and the whole thing is, how I got into it. And not everybody on our panel. We chose people that are not part of our network. It's kind of a good cross section. But the big joke that everyone's been writing me is, well, it's going to be like one thing. We're just going to point at you. How do I get into it? Talk to him.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean,
that's not true. My wife's going to be there. Talk to her.
Okay.
So she's the other half, and not enough people bug her.
Or talk to your kid.
No, you talk to her, and then she's going to point to me or to Martha. So there you go. You want to get into it? You talk to either Martha or I. That's how you get into it. Talk to Frank. Frank's lonely.
Maybe
he needs talking to.
Except you're not bringing me to Wizard World.
No. There were only so many spots, and they were taken. You know what? I did pitch a Falling Skies roundtable. It didn't happen.
Maybe next year.
I pitched a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. roundtable, which you were invited to. It didn't happen. But here's another thing. At that Thursday party, we're planning on doing a live Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. roundtable podcast with Frank Stella guest starring.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I will be ready to talk some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., some Marvel.
Yep.
And we will have said enough that night.
Ah, well played, sir.
Absolutely.
All right, can we end this thing? I'm getting really tired. Listen to my voice. It's going.
You're old, Rob. You're an old man. Your powers are weak, old man.
Your powers are weak, old man. Yeah, I can't even do the voice. Now it's just all scratchy, and now I sound more like the Emperor.
Something, dark side. Complete. Yeah, exactly. All right, hey. The Falling Skies podcast, Second Mass Report, is a production of the Southgate Media Group. We will be talking with you again next week, but watch out for that Doug Jones interview sometime between now and next week. And hey, until next time, stay vigilant, stay active, and stay brave.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.